Spoiler alert, make sure to watch Mary and Dad's Minecraft Adventures through Season 12, Episode 13 before watching this.
Penalize sort of put in a dead-end job. Again, you can see some of these concepts in our, what we called the graphic novel prequel. Okay, I don't know about you, but I just heard something spawn, so we're going to go back over and go over here and hit this gravel. So, at some point, the top brass, the people in charge, what's that? At Redstone, agree with Dave, even though they're not communicating with him on the subject, that, yeah, Mark V is out of control, and they want to sort of terminate the project, but they're afraid because Mark V, is a powerful entity, and essentially is literally out of control, not just figuratively, and not just in terms of, cost and spending and the time that they're putting in. They can't deal with the project. And of course, they don't want, they know Dave's not going to cooperate, so they decide, well, wait, what's a convenient way to get rid of this Mark V character and get rid of essentially the evidence trail that had ever existed. Knowing that this thing is essentially a violation of pretty much every, rule of war, if you will. Its goal is to psychologically impair the enemy, to use their own thoughts against them, to read their minds, to create fears, manifest them, literally to manipulate reality in order to win on the battlefield. And so feeling like, the world opinion would be against the use of such a thing, they realize they're sort of in a pickle now because they've got, Redstone has this weapon they can't use. They have a guy that's not willing to work on it. And costs are mounting, danger is mounting just in terms of maintaining this thing and keeping it under wraps. And so they decide at the highest level, again, this is briefly alluded to in the graphic novel, that Mark V is going to be disposed of along with its original creator, Dave. And unfortunately, that's where the Mary character gets caught up in the whole process, because in order to effectively kill, let's see, that's copper. Oh, wait a minute, look at this. That's more aluminum. It's tin. Well, we'll get it anyway. Oh yeah, we'll go back and get, I guess there's a couple things we need. We need more aluminum. We could plant those ore berries. We should do that. Let's do this. I think what's going to happen is I'm going to make this into a house where I'm headed now. Then I'm going to turn this into like maybe an ore berry shed. So we're going to take one of the ore berries. Let's deposit first. Deposit all this stuff. Got those. Excellent. Okay, deposit that. All right. Okay, good. So we have everything we need. We're almost ready to go straight to iron with Tinker's Construct. We just need aluminum and copper, which we have. Excellent. But we need to, let's also double check. Aluminum, brass. Okay, just checking that. Let's grab, do we need anything? Well, we could repair this real quick. Well, I cannot wait to get to iron level. Let's do that. Okay, we have our emergency foods with us. Nighttime again. All right, so we're going to go get aluminum. We're going to get, if we find it, plus the aluminum we already have, we're going to get sand and clay. And we're going to avoid those spiders. Okay, let's do this. Let's grab this first. And eventually we'll head over to see what our neighbors have over there. But I would like to stay clear of that for now and exploit some of this stuff. Okay. Aluminum. All right, so Mary and Dad, as again per the graphic novel prequel, they're told that there's a team building exercise that Redstone is holding, and they're kind of, oh, you know, hey Dave, we're trying to bring you back into the fold here, get you out of the broom closet and your dead end sort of penalty job that we've stuck you with. You know, essentially paying Dad to watch old movies and be quiet, right? Keep him on the payroll, and so that he won't make a fuss about Mark IV. And we'll grab those later. All right, that's more aluminum. Okay, we've got all the basic materials we need. We just need to go ahead and get the grout, rest of the grout material. Perfect. So we'll dump this. And all right, we have plenty of gravel. We don't really have any sand or any... Okay, perfect. It's really just two things that we need. Two things, and we'll be ready to get to the iron level. And if we trade with the villagers, if we're smart, we could go straight to like pig iron, which I think is one level above regular iron. Pig iron would get us obsidian. Obsidian would get us diamond. I don't know if anyone wants to comment on that. Any Tinker's Construct experts. Ah, yes, I remember this from last time. Okay, so we get a little bit more gravel. Okay, and now we'll go to sand. And, all right, so now Mary and Dad are, you know, on the ship. And again, we're trying to primarily concentrate on the Mark V aspect of this conversation at the moment. So remember that in the show, you haven't seen Mark V yet, unless you've gone to the graphic novel prequel, which of course didn't exist initially, but came out fairly early on. Probably around end of season 1, beginning of season 2. And so, at that point, we knew that we wanted to introduce this character as sort of the reason behind all the trouble that was going to be encountered by Mary and Dad going forward. And so that made a great plot device, I think, because, you know, people are stranded. You need a reason behind that, other than just something boring like mechanical failure. And so that was kind of the cause for us, was the evil guy. And then in season 2, the evil guy... Okay, let's get this clay. Oh, this is going to be nice. Okay, don't worry, we still have the mattock that works as a shovel. Okay. Alright, what did we get? Wow. Okay, good. We get multiples on the clay. We knew early on that we wanted, again, either, you know, the evil guy to be the main figure in the plot line. But we realized at that time that he didn't have anybody to talk to. And so we created the Splice character. I don't want to talk too much about him today. Stick to Mark V, but one of the things you'll notice a lot, that we do a lot, is we have characters that are created that are essentially, if you will, foils or dialogue foils for other characters. Like Eliza is an example, Splice is an example, although he became a character in his own right, or her own right, I guess you should say. Oh, let's do this. Whoops. Okay. So, and we'll talk about Splice in a future episode, but the idea behind having the evil guy with a minion like Splice was not only to provide that dialogue foil, but also to let them plot together. Oh, good. We are really only a stack away on sand, and then we could use a little bit of clay. All right. And so that's exactly what we did. And so at this point, Splice and the evil guy talk to one another. They plot together. And we see that the evil guy also references, again, something you don't hear until later in the show. He references the others. And at first, at this point, you don't know what the others are. But clearly later on, if you were paying attention, when we see him recreating his lab in the simulator with the Creeper Queen, he makes a very long sort of soliloquy or monologue about attention. Others, can you hear me? I'm setting up my base, because remember, he reboots when Mary kills him, and so he sort of starts over. So I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but basically in season 2, you hear the evil guy start to talk about his plans, but his power isn't that great. Oh, awesome! He's not that strong. So he is forced to begin sort of in baby steps as he works to exploit Mary and Dad in terms of discovering how they behave. He wants to know about humans. He knows that he has this sort of built-in directive to be a weapon. He doesn't necessarily articulate that, but he understands it at some fundamental level. And even in season 2, he says, hey, Splice, let's do this experiment. Let's do that experiment. Let's find out, what makes these humans tick. And in the process, we see Splice changing. And again, we'll talk about Splice later. But by the time season 2 and 3 roll around, Splice is still, I would consider, a faithful minion. And she, technically, Splice is a she. Splice is, helping, come up with these plots and experiments. And that goes well. They are manipulating Mary and Dad. They're watching their behavior. They're even, in the case of the season 2 development, where Dad thinks he's read a magazine where he can build a portal and go to the Netherlands, which is sort of an inside joke relating to Minecraft and the whole portal business. He sets up that process to go there. Is horrified that he doesn't go to the Netherlands. He's in this hellish place. And if you watch, and some people oddly, well, I guess not oddly, but we specifically put out an episode that was kind of hey, if you're paying attention, you're going to get a bonus here. And the bonus was we had an episode where, I guess a couple of episodes in the Nether, 20 and 21. And episode 22, Mary and Dad are teleported to, or brought to, what they think is an alternate land or a faraway land. Of course, it turns out it's kind of an imaginary zone that is created by the now more powerful evil guy. And so as the evil guy becomes more powerful, he's doing more and more experiments on Mary and Dad that are more and more sophisticated, in this case, include these villagers in season 2. But there's a critical little mini episode. Now, between episode 21 and 22, we actually have a mini episode 21.12, which is an homage to Rush and 2112. So you'll see that number appear in the show a lot. And the reason I'm kind of going into detail here is because this is, again, I would say one of the earlier episodes where the evil guy actually first he fully appears, and not just for a brief second, but he appears, I think, for maybe 30 or 40 seconds. And he talks about, this creation, my creation isn't perfect, but it served its purpose. And also, by the way, that episode was a way for us to get Mary and Dad to get their diamonds, which we left accidentally. That's a whole other long story. We'll talk about that at some point in the future. But the main thing I want to bring up is that the evil guy at this point has proved himself, I think, that he's capable of taking down humans, understanding humans, learning about them in order to exploit them. And so he wants to move on to bigger and better things, which he does so in the form of, oh boy, we got to get out of here. He does so in terms of the experiments with Oznog, which brings us again to a whole other character, or I should say characters, which I don't want to talk about too much, but needless to say, the evil guy's progression has gone from, season 1 non-existent, really, except for maybe episode 13 for a brief second. Season 2, where you start to learn a little bit about him, but he's still pretty cryptic. Season 3, he sort of fully forms as far as being evil, although you don't yet necessarily know his background. Some people at this point were assuming he was an alien. Oh crap, I'm going to die.